In the quiet hush of the Eldoria Valley, where the ancient moss-laden trees hummed with a soft internal light, lived Ilara. Her home was not a house of stone or wood, but a dwelling woven from the very air and light of the valley, nestled amongst the tallest lumen oaks, whose branches reached for the twin moons that graced the sky of Erthos. Every evening, as the first moon, pale and pearlescent, began its slow climb, and its sister, a vibrant cerulean orb, shimmered into view, Ilara would prepare for her most cherished task, the collection of moondew. Ilara was an apprentice to Lyra, the eldest star weaver, whose eyes held the wisdom of 1,000 starry nights, and whose fingers moved with the delicate precision of a moth's wing. Lyra had taught Ilara that the world was a tapestry of whispers and glimmers, and that every thread, no matter how small, held a story. The moondew, for instance, was not merely water, it was the concentrated dreams of the valley's slumbering flora, condensed and purified by the soft touch of the twin moons, collected from the petals of the rare moon-petal flowers that bloomed only under the direct gaze of both celestial sisters. Tonight, however, as Ilara made her way along the winding path that led to the moon-petal glade, a subtle disquiet settled upon her heart. The lumen oaks, usually vibrant with their internal glow, seemed a shade dimmer. Their low hum, a comforting, resonant thrum that vibrated through the very earth, felt a little muted, as if they were whispering secrets rather than singing them. Even the glimmer moths, tiny creatures with wings spun from pure starlight, usually darting and dancing in dazzling constellations around her, fluttered with a subdued grace, their luminous trails less brilliant than usual. "It feels as though the world is holding its breath," Ilara murmured to herself, her small hand reaching out to stroke the bark of a passing lumen oak. The tree offered only a faint pulse of warmth in return, not its usual vibrant caress. When she finally arrived at the moon-petal glade, her unease deepened. The moon-petal flowers, usually unfurling their silken petals to drink deeply of the celestial light, seemed hesitant. Their blossoms were smaller, their edges a faint wistful silver instead of the vibrant iridescent glow they usually possessed. And the moondew, which should have gathered in crystalline droplets at the heart of each flower, was scarce. Where there should have been a generous pool, there was only a sparse film, reflecting the twin moons like dull, tarnished mirrors. Ilara knelt, her fingers gentle as she coaxed a few precious drops into her polished gourd. Each drop felt cool, but not with the invigorating chill of fresh dew. Instead, it held a faint melancholic warmth like a tear. The glimmer moths, instead of flitting from flower to flower, clustered together on the underside of the largest moon petal, their collective light pulsing weakly, almost defensively. They seemed to be listening, their delicate antennae twitching towards the distant peaks of the whispering mountains. With her gourd only half full, Ilara returned to Lyra's loom house, a structure that pulsed with the gentle rhythm of interwoven starlight. Lyra, her silver hair braided with strands of glowing celestial silk, sat before the great loom, her hands moving through the air, seemingly weaving nothing, yet the threads of starlight that made up the sky itself shimmered and adjusted with each gesture. The great loom was not a machine, but a nexus of intention and cosmic energy, allowing the star weavers to mend stray comets, adjust the paths of errant stars, and ensure the delicate balance of the night sky. "My child," Lyra said, her voice like the rustle of autumn leaves without turning. "You are troubled." Ilara set the gourd down on a low, glowing table. "The moondew, Lyra, it is diminished, and the moon petals, they seem weary. Even the lumen oaks hum a mournful tune." Lyra paused her weaving, her hands hovering in the air like ancient birds. She turned, her eyes, the color of twilight, settling on Ilara's face. "Yes, Ilara, I have felt it too, a subtle fraying at the edges of the night. The moon song is a little off-key, as if a vital note has been silenced." The moon song was not a melody heard with ears, but a deep, resonant vibration that permeated all of Erthos, a lullaby woven by the twin moons to soothe the land and nurture its magic. It was the source of the moon petal's vitality and the glimmer moth's luminescence. "What could cause such a thing?" Ilara asked, her brow furrowed with concern. She loved Erthos with all her heart, and the thought of its magic fading was a chilling one. Lyra reached out, her aged hand gently cupping Ilara's cheek. "The threads of the cosmos are intricate, my dear. Sometimes a single knot can unravel a whole design. I have been observing the moons. Their light, while still bright to the untrained eye, carries a different resonance. The cerulean moon, Lunara, seems to be drawing more deeply from the pale moon, Solara, than is its natural rhythm. Elara looked up at the ceiling, which was not a ceiling at all, but a direct window to the night sky, magically magnified and brought closer. She saw the two moons, Solara, serene and shimmering, and Lunara, a vibrant sapphire, pulsing with a deeper, richer hue than usual. It was beautiful, yet Lyra's words made her see it differently. Lunara's beauty now seemed almost greedy. But why would Lunara draw more? Elara questioned. Anyawa. They are meant to dance in balance, sharing their light and their song. Indeed, Lyra murmured. And when that balance is disturbed, the world feels it. The moondew is a direct conduit of their harmony. Its scarcity is a symptom, not the cause. The cause is hidden deeper, perhaps in the very heart of the moonsong itself. Lyra rose, her movements slow and deliberate, and walked to a high shelf where ancient scrolls and shimmering artifacts were stored. She took down a small, intricately carved wooden box, its surface touched with symbols that glowed faintly. Opening it, she revealed a single, delicate feather, iridescent and impossibly thin, like a wisp of solidified moonlight. This is a feather from a moonsilver finch, Lyra explained, holding it out to Elara. These creatures are said to be born from the moonsong itself, and are the only beings capable of hearing its true melody, even when it is faint. They are rarely seen now, but their feathers retain a fragment of their unique gift. Elara carefully took the feather. It felt weightless, yet pulsed with a faint, almost imperceptible thrum. When she held it to her ear, she thought she could hear a distant, mournful tone like a forgotten echo. I have tried to listen, Lyra continued, but my ears are old, and the song grows fainter. You, Elara, are young. Your senses are keen, your heart is open. Perhaps you can hear what I can no longer. Elara looked from the feather to Lyra, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and trepidation. You wish me to find the source of this discord, Lyra? Not necessarily to find its source, my dear, Lyra corrected gently, but to listen. To follow the whisper of the moonsong, however faint it may be. The glimmer moths, too, will guide you. They are drawn to the song's resonance, like petals to the sun. If its harmony is disturbed, they will feel it most acutely. Elara thought of the clustered glimmer moths in the moon-petal glade, their light dim, their antennae twitching towards the whispering mountains. They were listening to the mountains, she said, remembering. Lyra smiled, a knowing glint in her twilight eyes. The whispering mountains hold ancient secrets, Elara. They are the oldest sentinels of Erthos, their peaks often shrouded in clouds woven from forgotten dreams. Many tales speak of the moonsong's birthplace nestled amongst their highest crags. Elara's heart fluttered. The whispering mountains were vast and mysterious, rarely ventured into by the people of Eldoria Valley. Yet, the thought of helping restore the moonsong, of bringing back the vibrant hum to the lumen oaks and the brilliant dance to the glimmer moths, filled her with a quiet resolve. I will go, she said, clutching the moonsilver finch feather. I will listen. Tortigante. Lyra nodded, her gaze returning to the great loom. Take only what you need, child. A few dried moon petals for sustenance, a flask of pure spring water. The journey will be one of listening, not of burdens. Over the next few days, Elara prepared. She filled a small satchel with dried moon petal cakes which tasted faintly of starlight and dreams, and a flask of water from the clearest spring in the valley. She sharpened her senses, listening more intently to the wind, observing the flight patterns of the glimmer moths, feeling the subtle pulse of the lumen oaks. She practiced holding the moonsilver finch feather, learning to quiet her mind and let its faint vibrations guide her. She noticed that the glimmer moths, though still subdued, had begun to gather near the path that led out of the Eldoria Valley, towards the foothills of the whispering mountains. They formed a shimmering, hesitant cloud, their collective light pulsing with a question. When Elara approached, they parted, forming a gentle glowing tunnel, beckoning her forward. On the morning of her departure, Lyra met her at the edge of the loom house, under the still sleeping lumen oaks. The twin moons had faded, and the sun, a gentle golden orb, was just beginning to warm the eastern sky. Remember, Elara, Lyra said, her voice soft as the dawn mist. The moonsong is not a thing to be found with loud footsteps or searching eyes. It is found with a quiet heart and an open spirit. Listen to the whispers, follow the glimmers. And if you find yourself lost, look to the glimmer moths. They always know the way home, even if the way home is through forgotten paths. Lyra then pressed a small smooth stone into Elara's hand. It was obsidian, black as the deepest night. Yet when she turned it, faint silver lines, like miniature constellations, shimmered within its depths. This is a night stone. It will absorb any fear you feel, leaving your heart clear to hear the song. And should you need to send a message back to me, simply hold it to your lips and whisper your thoughts. The whispers of the nightstone travel faster than any wind. Elara nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude and a touch of nervous excitement. She embraced Lyra, feeling the comforting warmth of her mentor's presence. Then, with a deep breath, she turned and stepped onto the path, the glimmer moths swirling around her like living stardust, guiding her towards the rising sun and the distant mist-shrouded peaks of the Whispering Mountains. The path soon left the familiar embrace of the lumen oaks and led into a forest of taller, darker trees, their branches interlaced so thickly that only dappled sunlight pierced through. These were the Silent Woods, known for their ancient, watchful stillness. Here, the air was cooler, carrying the scent of damp earth and unseen blossoms. The glimmer moths, however, seemed to thrive here, their light growing a little stronger, as if the silence amplified their inner glow. They danced ahead, their luminous trails marking the way, sometimes pausing to hover over a particular root or a patch of moss, as if pointing out something unseen. Elara walked with a light step, her senses fully alert. She held the moon-silver finch feather, letting its subtle vibrations guide her, feeling it pull faintly towards the north, deeper into the silent woods. She tried to quiet her mind, to filter out the rustling leaves and the distant calls of unseen birds, to hear the faintest echo of the moon song. Hours passed. The sun climbed high, then began its slow descent. Elara ate a moon-petal cake, its gentle sweetness a comfort. She drank from her flask, the water cool and revitalizing. The silent woods, though beautiful, were vast, and the mountains still seemed a long way off. She wondered if she was truly hearing the moon song or merely imagining it. As dusk began to paint the sky in hues of lavender and rose, the woods grew even quieter. The glimmer moths began to cluster more tightly, their light becoming a beacon in the deepening gloom. Elara noticed they were leading her off the faint path she had been following, deeper into a particularly dense thicket of gnarled ancient trees, whose branches twisted like petrified lightning. She hesitated for a moment, her nightstone warming slightly in her palm. The trees here felt different, older, their bark ridged with centuries of silent observation. There was no hum here, only an intense, weighty stillness. But the moon-silver finch feather pulsed more insistently now, pulling her forward. Trusting the feather and the glimmer moths, Elara pushed through the thicket. The branches snagged at her clothes, but she pressed on, her eyes fixed on the shifting constellation of glimmer moths ahead. Suddenly, the trees parted, revealing a small, hidden clearing. It was unlike any place Elara had ever seen. In the center of the clearing stood a single colossal tree, far older and grander than even the lumen oaks of her valley. Its bark was the color of twilight, and its leaves, though sparse, shimmered with an ethereal, silvery light, even without the moons. This was a moon willow, a legendary tree whispered about in Lyra's tales, said to be a direct descendant of the very first tree to taste the moon song. But it was not the tree itself that truly captured Elara's attention. At its base, nestled amongst its ancient roots, was a pool of water, perfectly still and mirror-like. Above it, hanging from a low-slung branch of the moon willow, was a single immense moon-petal flower, larger than Elara herself, its petals shimmering with a bruised melancholic glow. And from this giant moon-petal, instead of dew, dripped a slow, viscous liquid, dark and shimmering with faint silver motes. The glimmer moths were not drawn to this liquid. Instead, they hovered nervously at the edge of the clearing, their light flickering, their tiny bodies trembling. The moon-silver finch feather in Elara's hand, however, vibrated with an intense, almost painful thrum, pulling her towards the pool and the dripping moon petal. As she drew closer, Elara saw that the liquid was not moon dew. It was denser, almost oily, and as it fell into the pool, it did not mix with the water. Instead, it formed swirling, inky patterns, like living shadows, slowly expanding and darkening the pool's surface. And from the pool, a faint, discordant hum emanated, a sound that grated against the moonsilver finch feather, making it vibrate wildly. It was the moon song, but twisted, distorted, like a beautiful melody played out of tune, full of sorrow and confusion. Ilara knelt by the pool, her heart heavy. The air itself felt thick with this strange dark resonance. She looked up at the giant moon petal, its petals bruised and drooping. It was weeping, but its tears were not the pure, luminous moon dew. They were these dark, shimmering drops, each one carrying a fragment of the moon song's discord. Then she noticed something else. Hidden amongst the dark liquid, barely visible beneath the surface of the pool, were tiny, shimmering motes, like trapped stars. They pulsed weakly, struggling against the encroaching darkness. And as she watched, one of the glimmer moths, braver than the others, darted forward, tried to touch one of the shimmering motes, but recoiled instantly, its light dimming even further. This was not a scarcity of moondew. This was something actively corrupting it, twisting the moon song itself. What could cause such a beautiful ancient moon petal to weep such sorrowful dark tears? And what were these shimmering motes, trapped in the inky liquid? Ilara felt a deeper mystery unfolding before her, a mystery that felt heavier than any she had encountered in the gentle valley. She knew with a certainty that resonated deep in her bones, that this corrupted pool was a key, a dark mirror reflecting the imbalance of the moons. She had to understand what was happening here, at the heart of the moon willow, to mend the fraying threads of the night. She had to understand what was happening here at the heart of the moon willow, to mend the fraying threads of the night. Drawing a deep, steadying breath, Ilara stepped closer to the weeping pool. The air around it grew colder, a sharp, sorrowful chill that seemed to seep into her very bones, yet it was not the bite of winter. It was the cold of profound sadness, an ancient grief clinging to the very air. The twisted roots of the moon willow, which had seemed to writhe in agony from a distance, now appeared to be reaching, almost pleadingly, towards the inky liquid, as if yearning to draw solace from its dark depths, or perhaps to offer comfort themselves. Their gnarled surfaces, usually smooth and silvery under the moonlight, were now crusted with a fine, dark dust that sparkled faintly, like frozen tears. The closer she got, the more the pool revealed its secrets. The surface, though placid, seemed to swirl with an internal current, a slow, viscous eddy that drew the shimmering motes deeper. These motes, Ilara now saw, were not mere reflections or random specks. They were tiny, exquisite points of light, each no larger than a dewdrop, yet holding within them a miniature galaxy of color. Some pulsed with the soft, ethereal glow of a distant nebula, others shimmered with the sharp, crystalline brilliance of a winter star, and still others held the gentle, milky luminescence of a captured fragment of the moons themselves. They drifted sluggishly through the dark liquid, like pearls lost in a sea of ink, each one struggling, vibrating with a silent, desperate energy, before being slowly, inexorably, pulled down into the depths. A profound ache settled in Ilara's chest. These were not just lights. They felt like fragments of pure potential, tiny pockets of magic and dreams, being suffocated by the sorrowful darkness. She knelt at the edge, her hand hovering above the surface. The chill emanating from the pool was intense, causing goosebumps to rise on her arms. It felt both repulsive and strangely compelling, a dark magnet drawing her gaze. As her fingertips neared the liquid, the shimmering motes closest to her seemed to react, flaring brighter for a fleeting moment, as if sensing a kindred light, before their struggle resumed, more frantic now. One mote, larger and more vibrant than the rest, drifted closer to the surface, caught in a tiny ripple. It pulsed with a brilliant sapphire glow, like a captured fragment of the clearest night sky, and within its depths, Ilara thought she saw a fleeting image, a whisper of a child's laughter, a flash of a sleeping forest bathed in silver, a fleeting dream of flight. It was a starlight dream, she realized with a gasp, one of the countless pure wishes and hopes that rose from the sleeping world to nourish the moons and weave the tapestry of the night. This dark pool's devouring starlight dreams. A low groan, deep and resonant, rumbled through the ground beneath her. It was the moon willow itself, a sound of profound distress that vibrated up through Ilara's knees and into her very core. The ancient tree shuddered, its silvery leaves rustling not with wind, but with an internal tremor. A faint, almost imperceptible silver-blue light pulsed within the gnarled bark of the trunk closest to the pool, as if the tree was fighting a silent battle, struggling to contain the encroaching darkness. As Elara watched, a tendril of the dark liquid, impossibly thin and sinuous, snaked out from the pool's edge, reaching towards one of the moon willow's exposed roots. Where it touched, the root instantly darkened, a sickly black spreading like ink through parchment. The sapphire starlight dream, still struggling near the surface, seemed to dim, its vibrant glow fading as if its very essence was being drawn out by the encroaching sorrow. Elara couldn't stand by and watch. Instinct, pure and unwavering, surged through her. This sorrow was not natural. It was a corruption, an active malevolence draining the light from the world. With a fierce determination, she plunged her hand into the chilling liquid. The cold was astonishing, a shock that jolted her to the core, but it was not merely cold. It was a dense, heavy presence, a palpable weight of despair and loss that tried to seep into her mind, whispering forgotten fears and ancient heartbreaks. Her hand felt as though it were being plunged into liquid shadow, each muscle and bone protesting. Yet, she pushed through. Her fingers closed around the sapphire starlight dream, which, at her touch, pulsed with a renewed, desperate brilliance. As she drew her hand back, the dark liquid resisted, clinging to her skin with a viscous tenacity. A wave of profound sorrow washed over her, so potent that it almost brought her to her knees. Tears welled in her eyes, not her own, but echoes of the pool's grief, threatening to overwhelm her. But Elara held fast, her connection to the gentle valley and the guiding light of her own heart, a shield against the onslaught. She pulled her hand free, clutching the now intensely glowing sapphire mote. The moment it left the pool, the dark liquid seemed to recoil, hissing softly, and the tendril that had been creeping along the root withered back into the main body of the pool. The moon willow let out a deep sigh, a sound like wind rustling through ancient leaves, and the silver-blue light within its bark pulsed more strongly, pushing back against the dark stain. The starlight dream pulsed in her palm, a tiny, vibrant star singing a silent song of hope and resilience. It felt warm now, radiating a gentle heat that countered the chill of the pool, a beacon against the encroaching darkness. But the pool itself remained, weeping its dark tears, its surface still swirling with the dying light of countless other captured dreams. You felt it, didn't you? The voice was a whisper, soft as the brush of a moth's wing, yet clear as a bell chiming in the quiet night. It came not from the tree nor the pool, but from the air itself, swirling around Elara's head. She looked around, startled, but saw no one. "Who's there?" she asked, her voice hushed, clutching the starlight dream. A tiny point of silver light, no bigger than her thumbnail, flickered into existence just above the pool's edge, then drifted towards her. As it drew closer, it resolved into the form of a delicate sprite, barely discernible. It had wings like spun moonlight, a body of shimmering mist, and eyes that held the ancient wisdom of 1,000 starry nights, though they were currently shadowed with a profound sadness. Its form seemed fragile, wavering as if constantly on the verge of fading away. "I am Lumine," the sprite whispered, its voice resonating with the very spirit of the moon willow. "A guardian of this ancient place, though my strength wanes with the tree's sorrow." Lumine's gaze fell upon the sapphire starlight dream in Elara's hand, and a faint glimmer of hope sparked in its eyes. "You are brave, little one. Few can withstand the sorrow of the heart weep." "The heart weep?" Elara asked, looking from Lumine to the dark pool. Lumine nodded, its ethereal form pulsing faintly. "Indeed, this pool is a manifestation of the deepest grief, a wound in the very heart of the world, born from an ancient tragedy. It is not merely sorrow, but a consuming sorrow. It draws in all light, all joy, all hope, to feed its endless despair." "But what caused it?" Elara pressed, her heart aching for the captured dreams. "And why is it affecting the moons?" Lumine drifted closer, hovering just before Elara's face, its tiny form radiating a fragile warmth. "To understand, you must listen to the whispers of time, little one. Long, long ago, when the world was young and the stars still sang their creation songs, there was a third moon in our sky. Not a celestial body, but a living heart star, a beacon of pure, unbounded joy and starlight, called Lunaria. Lunaria was the twin heart of the world, balanced by the earthly heartstone that lies deep beneath your gentle valley. Ilara's eyes widened. A third moon. A heart star. This was history far older than any she knew. Lunaria, Lumen continued, its voice filled with reverence and sorrow, was the weaver of dreams, the guardian of wishes, the very essence of joy that danced in the starlit sky. It was Lunaria that drew the starlight dreams from the sleeping world and offered them to our two celestial moons, Solara and Nocturna, keeping them vibrant and full of light. Its laughter was the twinkle in the deepest night, its song, the hum of the growing wing world. But what happened to it? Ilara asked, a terrible premonition forming in her mind. A deep sigh escaped Lumen, a sound like dry leaves scattering. A shadow fell upon the world, a shadow born of forgotten resentments and festering bitterness from a time before memory. It was not a creature but a pervasive despair, a sorrow so profound it sought to extinguish all light. This shadow, which we now call the gloom, reached for Lunaria, not to destroy it, but to consume its joy, to twist its pure heart into an echo of its own desolation. It attacked Lunaria. It ensnared it, and though Lunaria fought with all its might, its radiant joy could not withstand the endless ancient sorrow of the gloom. Lunaria shattered. Not into pieces of light, but into fragments of pure, unadulterated grief. Its light faded, its song died, and its essence fell from the sky, piercing the heart of the moon willow, which had always been its earthly anchor and confidant. Lune gestured to the dark pool. This is what remained, the heart-weep, the distilled, unending sorrow of Lunaria, now twisted and corrupted by the gloom. It drains the life from the moon willow, and as the moon willow is the anchor between the earthly realm and the celestial, the imbalance of the heart-weep spreads. It is slowly drawing all light, all hope, all starlight dreams, not just from our world, but from the moons themselves. Solar and the ternary are dimming because there's... Ilara looked at the pool with a new understanding, a terrible awe. It wasn't just a corrupted pool. It was the weeping heart of a shattered star, a wound in reality itself. So the moons are starving, she whispered, the enormity of the problem settling heavily upon her. And the moon willow? It's trying to hold back the sorrow, isn't it? It is, Lumen confirmed, its voice strained. The moon willow, in its ancient wisdom and boundless love for Lunaria, has been holding this heart-weep at bay for centuries, drawing its own life force to keep the sorrow from consuming the entire world. But its strength is fading. The roots you see are not just absorbing the sorrow. They are trying to transmute it, to heal it, but they are losing the battle. And now, the gloom, sensing its victory, grows bolder. Ilara looked at the sapphire mote in her hand, its light unwavering. This starlight dream, it's from Lunaria, isn't it? A fragment of its pure joy, trying to escape. Indeed, Lumen said, a faint glimmer of hope returning to its eyes. Each starlight dream, though it rises from your world, carries an echo of Lunaria's original joy. The heart-weep devours them, but the purest ones, like the one you hold, sometimes resist, fighting to retain their essence. They are the last sparks of Lunaria's true self, struggling against the encroaching despair. How can we stop it? Ilara asked, her voice firm despite the overwhelming nature of the task. How can we mend the moons and heal the moon willow? Lumen drifted back towards the ancient tree, its ethereal form seeming to draw strength from the faint silver-blue light pulsing within the bark. The heart-weep cannot be destroyed, for it is Lunaria's sorrow, and to destroy it would be to destroy Lunaria forever. But it can be soothed, its hunger for darkness quelled, and its true essence reawakened. To do so, you must find the fragments of Lunaria's true light, the heart gems that scattered when it shattered. They are not like the starlight dreams. They are larger, more powerful, and hold the very memory of Lunaria's joy. Where are they? They are hidden, little one, scattered throughout realms touched by Lunaria's original light. 1. The first lies deep within the moon willow itself. It is called the laughter shard, for it holds the echo of Lunaria's purest, most infectious joy. But it is not easily found. The moon willow has woven protective enchantments around it, to keep it safe from the gloom, and its path is obscured by ancient magic. Lumen turned its luminous eyes back to Ilara. The starlight dream you hold is a key. It carries the faint memory of Lunaria's joy, a beacon that can pierce the obfuscating spells. You must take it, and with it, Enter the heart of the moon willow. You must seek the laughter shard, and by reawakening its joy, begin to soothe the heartbeat. Elara looked at the ancient tree, its immense trunk now seeming to pulse with a hidden life, a silent plea for aid. To enter the heart of the moon willow, it sounded like a journey into another world entirely. "How do I enter?" she asked, clutching the starlight dream tighter. Lumen pointed a tiny shimmering hand towards the thickest part of the moon willow's trunk, where a single ancient root, larger than the rest, arched over the edge of the heartweep, its tip just touching the dark liquid. Beneath that root, concealed by layers of bark and ancient magic, is a hidden entrance. It will only reveal itself to one who carries a pure starlight dream and a heart filled with purpose. The tree will recognize your intent, little one. A tremor ran through the moon willow again, a deep, resonant hum that vibrated through Elara's feet. The silver-blue light in its bark intensified, seeming to flow downwards towards the base of the ancient root Lumen had indicated. As Elara watched, a faint, almost invisible seam began to appear in the gnarled bark, tracing a subtle spiral pattern. It was not an opening, not yet, but a promise of one. "Babe bond," Lumen whispered, its voice growing fainter, its form more translucent, as if the effort of communication was draining its last vestiges of strength. The path within the moon willow is not without peril. The gloom has seeped into its deepest chambers, seeking to corrupt even the laughter shard. You may encounter echoes of Lunaria's sorrow, illusions born of despair, or even manifestations of the gloom itself, trying to turn you from your quest. Trust your light. Trust the starlight dream, and above all, trust your heart. With those words, Lumen's form shimmered, wavered, and then dissolved into the faint silver-blue light that now pulsed more strongly within the moon willow's bark, as if it had become one with the tree once more. Elara stood alone again, the chilling presence of the heartweep behind her, the immense ancient moon willow before her. In her hand, the sapphire starlight dream pulsed steadily, a warm, reassuring heartbeat of light. The invisible seam on the tree's bark was now faintly visible, a delicate spiral pattern that promised passage. This was more than just mending the moons. This was a quest to heal an ancient wound, to restore a shattered heart, to bring joy back to the very fabric of the night. The weight of it was immense, but so too was the resolve that now burned brightly within Elara. She took another steadying breath, closed her eyes for a moment, and focused on the warmth of the starlight dream in her palm, on the image of the gentle valley bathed in soft moonlight, on the laughter of children she had seen in her fleeting vision. When she opened her eyes, the spiral seam in the moon willow's bark glowed a little brighter, beckoning her. She knew what she had to do. With the sapphire starlight dream held aloft like a lantern, Elara approached the ancient tree, her heart thrumming with a mixture of apprehension and a fierce, unwavering determination. The journey into the heart of the moon willow, into the very memory of a shattered star, was about to begin. She stepped forward, towards the glowing spiral, and felt the ancient magic stir around her, awaiting her touch. She stepped forward, towards the glowing spiral, and felt the ancient magic stir around her, awaiting her touch. The world did not simply open to receive her, it dissolved. The solid bark of the moon willow shimmered, then liquefied into a swirling vortex of silvery light and deep indigo shadow. Elara didn't walk here through a portal, but rather El-Shabi Kamei, part of the transition, her body feeling as light as a whisper of mist, her consciousness expanding to encompass the shimmering, shifting space. The air, previously cool and crisp, now thrummed with a profound resonant hum, like the memory of a million stars singing in unison. It smelled of stardust and ancient living wood, a scent that was both familiar and utterly alien. When stability reformed around her, Elara found herself standing not in a hollowed-out trunk, but in a vast ethereal chamber. It was a space woven from light and shadow, organic yet cosmic. The walls were not bark, but enormous, undulating tapestries of soft, swirling nebulae, shot through with luminous filaments that pulsed with gentle rhythmic beats, like the heartwood of a colossal living star. Moonlight, filtered through countless layers of magical essence, pooled on the resilient, glowing moss beneath her feet, which hummed faintly with energy. The sapphire starlight dream, held aloft, intensified its glow, casting a pure, steady beam ahead. It seemed to guide her, its internal brilliance resonating with the very fabric of this inner world. The chamber stretched before her, a labyrinth of interconnected pathways, each formed by intertwining branches of pure, shimmering light. These were the moonwillow's veins, not of sap, but of condensed starlight and memory, channeling the essence of the shattered star. As Elara ventured deeper, the stillness of the chamber was occasionally broken by fleeting images. Whispers of light, not fully formed, but suggestive. A spiral galaxy, spinning in slow, majestic dance. A shower of comets, streaking across a velvet sky. Distant suns blooming and fading like cosmic flowers. These were fragmented memories, echoes of a universal tapestry, hinting at the star's origins and its place in the grand design. Then came the sounds. A faint, sorrowful melody, like a celestial harp played with a broken string, would drift past, imbued with an ancient grief. It spoke of beauty lost, of light extinguished too soon. Suddenly, a sharp, echoing cracky resonated through the chamber, vibrating not just in the air, but deep within Elara's bones. It was a sound of profound rupture, of something immense and perfect being rent asunder. Her heart ached with a strange, empathetic pain, for she knew this was the sound of the star shattering. The air grew heavier in these moments, thick with a sense of immense loss, yet also an undeniable residual power. The starlight dream sapphire in her hand became more than a lantern. It was a compass, its faint pull guiding her towards the strongest concentration of the shattered star's essence. The luminous light veins forming her path began to resolve into patterns, like constellations etched into the very structure of the moonwillow. Some resembled familiar star charts, others were ancient runes, hinting at a language older than time, perhaps the star's true name, or its fundamental purpose. Elara, though she couldn't decipher them, felt their meaning resonate within her, a silent story unfolding. As she delved further, the light around her deepened from silver to a profound shimmering violet, then to a rich, star-dusted indigo. The pathways grew narrower, coiling like celestial serpents, until she reached a more enclosed space. Here, the air crackled with a delicate energy, and she saw them, the shard weavers. They were not solid beings, but shimmering, translucent figures, like currents of flowing light given form. They moved with a slow, deliberate grace, their forms constantly shifting, weaving new strands of starlight into the nebula-like walls, meticulously tending to the memories held within the tree. They had no discernible faces, yet Elara felt their gaze upon her. A profound, ancient awareness. They communicated not with words, but through luminous patterns that blossomed and faded around them, and through a direct, gentle resonance within her own mind. A cluster of shard weavers drifted towards her, their collective aura radiating a quiet curiosity and an even deeper sadness. They presented her with a vision, not projected externally, but woven directly into her consciousness. She saw the star as it once was, a colossal, radiant sphere, pulsing with a vibrant, joyous light that illuminated an entire corner of the cosmos. Its song, now heard more clearly than the faint melody before, was one of pure, boundless energy and love. It sustained planets, nurtured life, and painted the nebulae with its glorious hues. Then, the vision shifted. A shadow, vast and formless, began to encroach. It was not evil, but a cosmic imbalance, a gaping void threatening to consume the very fabric of existence. The star, with a magnificent, terrible resolve, began to compress, to focus its immense power. It pulsed with a final blinding burst of light, unleashing an energy so profound it pushed back the encroaching shadow, sealing the breach. But in doing so, it tore itself apart. Elara felt the agony of that sacrifice, the unbearable pain of rending one's very being, but also the overwhelming triumph of selfless love. The celestial uncracking she'd heard before now had context, a profound and necessary end. The vision faded, leaving Elara breathless, tears pricking at her eyes. She understood now. The star hadn't been shattered by accident or malice, but by an act of immense beautiful sacrifice. It had given its light, its essence, to protect untold worlds, to prevent a greater cosmic catastrophe. And in its final moments it had woven its memory, its very heart, into the nascent moonwillow, creating this sanctuary, this living repository of its legacy. The shard weavers pulsed with understanding, their luminous forms seeming to nod. They were the silent guardians of this truth, the caretakers of a monument to cosmic heroism. They communicated a new message, a feeling of guidance and a gentle imperative. The path was now clear. They led her through a final twisting corridor of pure starlight, which culminated in a vast, domed chamber at the very heart of the moonwillow. Here, the light was not violet or indigo, but a shimmering, celestial white, tinged with every color of the rainbow, as if all the scattered light of the cosmos had gathered here. In the center of the chamber, suspended in the shimmering light, was a colossal, fragmented sapphire. It was not a single gem, but 1,000 pieces, held together by an invisible force, swirling slowly, constantly rearranging themselves into new, breathtaking patterns. This was the true memory of the shattered star, its physical manifestation within the moonwillow. It pulsed with immense, raw energy, radiating both the lingering agony of its sacrifice and its undimmed, residual brilliance. This was the epicenter of the star's broken song, now heard as a full, complex symphony of sorrow and enduring hope. Her own starlight dream sapphire vibrated fiercely in her hand, almost leaping from her grasp. It pulsed in perfect rhythm with the fragmented heart of the star, its own light intensifying until it rivaled a miniature sun. It was home. Elara approached the colossal, fragmented sapphire, her steps slow and reverent. The air grew thick with pure, distilled magic, making her feel both incredibly small and immensely connected to the universe. As she drew near, she could feel the weight of countless eons, the echoes of the star's magnificent life and its poignant end. She reached out a trembling hand, not to touch the fragmented heart directly, but to feel the currents of energy that flowed from it. Then she saw it. Nestled deep within the swirling fragments, protected by the very chaos of the shattering, was a tiny, perfect spark of light. It was utterly pure, untouched by the rupture, a beacon of pristine essence. This was the star's enduring core, its seed, the promise of what it once was, and what it could be again. It was incredibly fragile, barely larger than the head of a pin, yet it contained an entire universe of potential. The shard weavers, now gathered in a silent circle around the chamber's edge, transmitted their final instructions, weaving them directly into Elara's understanding. The seed needed protection, a vessel strong enough to carry its potential, pure enough to nurture its rebirth. Her starlight dream sapphire, a gift from the heavens, was that vessel. Taking a deep, steadying breath, Elara focused her will. She held the sapphire aloft, aligning it with the tiny spark. She imagined her intent flowing from her heart, through her arm, into the sapphire. An intent of healing, of hope, of guardianship. She felt a profound connection form, a bridge of pure magic between her sapphire and the star's seed. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the tiny spark of light began to drift. It detached from the fragmented heart, a single tear of starlight rising towards her. It was a moment of exquisite tension, of fragile hope. Elara held her breath, her entire being focused on the delicate transfer. The sapphire in her hand began to glow with an unprecedented intensity, a soft, welcoming hum emanating from its depths. As the star's seed drew closer, the sapphire seemed to open, not physically, but dimensionally, creating a luminous void at its heart. With a gentle ethereal sigh, the seed floated into the sapphire, settling deep within its core. The moment it entered, the starlight dream sapphire exploded with light, a silent supernova in Elara's palm. It pulsed with the combined essence of her own magic, the sapphire's inherent power, and the boundless potential of the star's seed. It now held not just a piece of the star's light, but its very eye potentially for rebirth, its unbroken promise. The fragmented heart of the star, though still magnificent, seemed to dim ever so slightly, its most precious essence now safely cradled. A wave of profound relief and quiet joy emanated from the shard weavers. Their forms brightened, their weaving becoming more intricate, as if celebrating this momentous event. They communicated a final crucial message, a series of images and feelings that resonated with absolute clarity in Elara's mind. The seed was secured, but this was only the first step. To truly bring the star back, to allow it to bloom anew in the cosmos, it needed to be taken to a specific place, the celestial cradle. This was a place of primordial creation, a nexus of nascent starlight, hidden deep within a nebula known as the Whispering Veil. There, under a particular celestial alignment, the seed could be nurtured, fed by the raw cosmic energies of creation. It would be a long and perilous journey, beyond the familiar forests and even the highest peaks, into the very heart of the starry expanse. Elara felt a new sense of purpose bloom within her, heavy with responsibility, yet bright with hope. The path out of the moon willow was now clear, the shimmering light veins beckoning her return. She had faced the memory of a shattered star, understood its sacrifice, and now held its future in her hand. The journey ahead was only just beginning, a quest that would take her beyond the boundaries of her world, into the vast, unknown beauty of the cosmos. With a final, grateful nod to the silent, shimmering shardweavers, Elara turned. The moon willow's internal world began to dissolve around her once more, the luminous pathways swirling into a vortex of silver and indigo. She felt the familiar sensation of light, dissolving and reforming, and then, with a soft exhale, she was back. She stood at the base of the ancient moon willow, the cool night air caressing her skin, the familiar forest sounds returning to her ears. The glowing spiral on the bark had faded, leaving only the ancient, gnarled surface. But the sapphire in her hand was no longer merely a beautiful gem. It pulsed with an internal light that was softer, deeper, and infinitely more profound than before. It was a living thing, a microcosm of cosmic potential. Elara looked up at the vast star-dusted sky, her gaze now seeing beyond the familiar twinkling lights, envisioning the distant nebula, the whispering veil, and the celestial cradle. The quest for the shattered star was far from over, but she had found its heart, and now she knew where she had to go. The universe awaited. The universe awaited. With the star heart pulsing softly in her palm, Elara felt a new kind of compass awaken within her. It wasn't a needle swinging north, but a resonance, a deep hum that vibrated through her bones, guiding her gaze towards the distant, shimmering expanse of the whispering veil. She knew with a certainty that felt older than herself, that her journey had just truly begun. The first step was the hardest, for it meant leaving the familiar comfort of the ancient observatory, the wise, silent stones that had sheltered her through her initial quest. But the star heart urged her onward, its light growing warmer, almost eager. It seemed to whisper of pathways woven from starlight and currents of cosmic breath. Elara closed her eyes, letting the gem's soft pulse fill her senses. When she opened them again, the world around her seemed to shimmer, the air thick with potential. She felt a gentle tug, a sensation like a silken thread drawing her upward, not into the cold vacuum of space, but into a luminous river of cosmic dust and nebulae, a celestial current that flowed between worlds. She stepped forward, not falling, but rising, buoyed by an unseen force, the star heart illuminating her path. It was in this stellar river that she found her first companion. A tiny flicker of light, no bigger than her thumb, darted around her, its movements quick and playful. It had wings like spun moonbeams and eyes that held the twinkle of distant galaxies. It was a stardust sprite, drawn by the unique resonance of the star heart. "Greetings, Starzir," the sprite chirped, its voice like the chime of crystal bells. "I am Phelan, and I have felt the awakening of the heart. Where do your dreams take you?" Elara, surprised but not startled, for magic now felt like the very air she breathed, smiled. "To the whispering veil, Phelan, and beyond, to the celestial cradle." Phelan sipped around her head, a miniature whirlwind of starlight. "A grand quest indeed. The veil is a place of ancient echoes, a library of cosmic memory, and the cradle, the cradle is where stars are born, and sometimes reborn. I shall guide you if you permit. My kind knows the currents and eddies of the ether stream better than any." And so, Elara found herself soaring through the cosmic ocean, Phelan dancing ahead, charting their course. The journey was a breathtaking tapestry of swirling colors and silent wonders. They drifted past fields of slumbering cosmic leviathans, creatures of immense size and gentle spirit, whose dreams painted the nebula around them with transient hues. Elara learned to move with the utmost softness, the star heart guiding her steps, and Phelan whispering warnings, ensuring they passed unseen and unheard, respecting the ancient sleep of these cosmic beings. They navigated through the shimmering tendrils of nascent star systems, where infant suns glowed like molten pearls and planets, still formed from dust and gas, swirling in beautiful, chaotic dances. Phelan taught her to read the subtle shifts in the ether stream, to distinguish between a safe current and one that might lead to an unpredictable stellar flare or a treacherous gravity well. The star heart in her hand seemed to pulse in rhythm with the universe's breath, amplifying her intuition, allowing her to feel the ebb and flow of cosmic energy. Days turned into weeks, though time itself seemed to blur in the endless expanse. Elara learned to draw sustenance from the starlight, to rest amidst fields of nebular flowers that bloomed in silent explosions of color. Her connection to the star heart deepened with every passing moment, revealing not just a source of light, but a guide, a silent teacher. It showed her glimpses of the past, echoes of the star's original brilliance, and hints of its fragmented pieces, not just physical shards, she realized, but principles, cosmic virtues scattered across the void. Finally, a vast iridescent haze appeared on their horizon, shimmering with 1,000 hues of violet, indigo, and silver. It was the Whispering Veil, a nebula so immense it dwarfed galaxies, its edges rippling like silk in an unseen breeze. As they drew closer, Elara began to hear it, a chorus of faint ethereal voices, like the rustling of ancient scrolls, the soft sigh of cosmic winds, and the distant hum of forgotten melodies. "The veil," Phelan whispered, his tiny form trembling with reverence. "It remembers everything. Every star that lived, every world that dreamed, every thought that echoed through the void. It holds the memories of the universe itself." Entering the veil was like stepping into a living dream. Swirls of luminous gas parted before them, revealing pathways of pure starlight. The whispers intensified, weaving around Elara, telling tales of creation, of cosmic dances, of the birth and death of stars. It was overwhelming at first, a cacophony of ancient knowledge, but the star heart resonated with the whispers, filtering them, translating them into patterns Elara could comprehend. She learned of the great star, the one whose heart she carried. It was not merely a sun, but a source of fundamental balance, a cosmic anchor that once infused the universe with its core principles: joy, courage, wisdom, hope, compassion, and wonder. When it shattered, these principles had scattered, becoming echoes in the fabric of space, awaiting reunion. The star heart in her palm was the central core, the pure potential, waiting to be imbued with these scattered virtues once more. The challenge in the veil was not one of strength, but of understanding. Elara had to listen, to discern the truth from the myriad echoes, to find the specific resonance of the great star's fractured principles amidst the cosmic hum. She spent what felt like an eternity drifting through chambers of living stardust, guided by Phelan and the star heart, seeking the fragments of joy, courage, wisdom, hope, compassion, and wonder. The fragment of joy, she discovered, was not a thing to be found, but a feeling to be embraced. It manifested as a path through a shimmering garden of nebular flowers, where vibrant colors erupted in silent jubilation, and the air itself sang with pure delight. To pass through, Elara had to open her own heart to unburdened happiness, to let go of her anxieties and revel in the sheer, boundless beauty of the cosmos. As she did, a wave of pure, crystalline joy washed over her, and the star heart pulsed with a new, vibrant warmth, as if absorbing a radiant energy. The fragment of courage presented itself as a passage through a swirling vortex of cosmic dust and forgotten fears. Whispers of doubt and past failures tried to ensnare her, threatening to pull her into the dark. But Elara, clutching the star heart, remembered her journey, the vastness she had traversed, the challenges she had overcome. She stepped forward, not in defiance, but with a quiet resolve, a deep-seated belief in her purpose. As she emerged, the star heart glowed with a steadfast golden light, strong and unwavering. Wisdom was found in a chamber of silent, ancient light, where the echoes of countless cosmic truths converged. It wasn't about knowing everything, Elara realized, but about understanding the interconnectedness of all things, the delicate balance of the universe. The star heart guided her to listen, not just with her ears, but with her soul, to perceive the patterns that bound creation together. A calm, deep indigo hue infused the gem, a knowing, patient light. Hope manifested as a journey through a desolate expanse of dead stars, where only the faint, lingering light of what once was remained. It was a test of perseverance, of believing in rebirth and renewal even in the face of cosmic entropy. Elara, holding the star heart, envisioned new stars being born, new life blossoming, and held that vision in her mind, a beacon against the darkness. The gem pulsed with a gentle, persistent green, the color of nascent life. Compassion came when they encountered a lost constellation of wandering spirits, adrift and yearning for connection. Elara, guided by the star heart, extended her empathy, sharing her own warmth and understanding. She didn't offer grand solutions but simple heartfelt connection, helping the spirits find solace in each other. The gem resonated with a soft, embracing rose gold, radiating unconditional love. And finally, wonder. This wasn't a specific place, but the very essence of the veil itself. To truly grasp it, Elara had to simply obey, to surrender to the awe-inspiring majesty of the cosmos, to gaze upon its infinite mysteries with an open heart and an insatiable curiosity. As she embraced this boundless sense of wonder, the star heart flared with a brilliant, shimmering cascade of all colors, reflecting the infinite beauty of the universe. With all 6 principles woven into its core, the star heart no longer just pulsed, it sang. Its light was now a symphony of colors, each hue representing a virtue, harmonizing into a radiant living spectrum. It also revealed to Elara the final destination, the celestial cradle. Not a location on any star chart but a resonance, a frequency in the ether stream that only the fully awakened star heart could perceive. The cradle, Phelan chirped, his tiny eyes wide with awe as he beheld the star heart. It is not a place you journey at all, Starseer, but a state you resonate with. Only the purest intentions can open its gates. The journey from the whispering veil to the celestial cradle was less about physical travel, and more about spiritual attunement. The star heart, now vibrant with the 6 cosmic principles, became a beacon, drawing them not along a path, but through the very fabric of space-time. They passed through shimmering veils that felt like the skin of the universe, each layer testing Elara's resolve, her belief, her understanding. Sometimes, they would find themselves in vast, silent chambers, where the air was thick with memories of ancient cosmic events, challenging her to remain centered amidst echoes of creation and destruction. Other times they would drift through fields of pure thought, where abstract concepts solidified into luminous forms, requiring her to discern truth from illusion with her heart, not just her mind. Phelan, ever vigilant, would guide her past potential pitfalls, his stardust wings shimmering with protective magic. Elara learned to trust the star heart implicitly, to let its song guide her through the most bewildering cosmic phenomena. She meditated with it, allowed its light to permeate her being, and felt herself becoming less of a separate entity and more a part of the grand tapestry of the universe. Her senses expanded, allowing her to perceive the subtle currents of dark matter, the silent conversations of nebulae, and the deep, resonant hum of the cosmos itself. Finally, after what felt like an age of introspection and transformation, the star heart pulsed with an overwhelming, joyous intensity. Before them, the universe seemed to part, revealing not a physical place, but a luminous void, a sanctuary of pure potential. This was the celestial cradle. It was a place beyond stars, beyond galaxies, existing in a realm where form and energy intertwined. Great, arcing structures of pure light hummed with silent power, coalescing and dissipating like cosmic breath. Within this shimmering nexus, Elara could feel the faint, scattered echoes of the great star's original essence, the very energy from which it was born. "This is it," Phelan whispered, his voice hushed with reverence. "The birthplace, the rebirthing place." The final challenge awaited Elara. It wasn't a guardian to defeat or a riddle to solve, but an act of profound creation. In the very center of the cradle, where the light structures converged, a void shimmered, the empty space where the great star once rested. Around it, like dust motes caught in a sunbeam, Elara could faintly discern the other fragments of the star, ethereal wisps of energy, yearning to be whole. The star heart in her hand pulsed like a second sun, its full spectrum of colors swirling. It was the catalyst, the core, but it needed something more. It needed her. Elara understood. To restore the great star, she had to offer herself, her journey, her understanding of the universe, and the principles she had gathered. It was an act of complete surrender and profound intention. She closed her eyes, holding the star heart aloft, its light bathing her in its radiant embrace. She thought of the whispers of the veil, the wisdom of the leviathans, the joy of the nebular gardens, the courage of her own heart. She remembered Phelan's unwavering companionship, the wonder of the cosmic currents, the compassion shared with lost spirits. All of it, every experience, every lesson, had prepared her for this moment. "I offer my journey," she whispered, her voice resonating with the star heart's song. I offer the joy I found, the courage I embraced, the wisdom I gained, the hope I held, the compassion I shared, and the wonder that fills my soul. May these principles reunite and rekindle the light that guides all." As she spoke, the star heart flared with an unbearable brilliance, expanding, encompassing her. Elara felt herself dissolving, not into nothingness but into pure light, merging with the gem, with the very essence of the great star. The principles she had gathered flowed from her, becoming rivers of color that surged into the central void of the cradle. The ethereal fragments of the star, sensing the reunion, streamed towards the light, drawn by an irresistible force. They swirled, coalesced, and ignited. With a silent, breathtaking explosion of light and cosmic song, the great star was reborn. It was not a simple sphere but a dynamic, living entity. It pulsed with every color imaginable, radiating streams of pure life-giving energy that flowed outward, filling the celestial cradle, then surging beyond, reaching into the farthest corners of the universe. Its light was not just illumination, but sustenance, inspiration, and a promise. It sang a song of cosmic balance, of interconnectedness, of endless renewal. New stars ignited in distant nebulae, their light brighter, clearer. Worlds long dormant hummed with nascent life. The aether stream flowed with renewed vigor, carrying threads of hope and wonder to every sentient being. The universe, vast and ancient, felt younger, more alive, imbued a fresh wave of creative energy. Elara, no longer merged with the star, gently reformed, shimmering with an inner light that mirrored the great star's brilliance. She was changed, transformed. Her eyes now held the depth of galaxies, her heart resonated with the hum of creation. She was no longer just Elara, the seeker, but Elara, the starseer, a living conduit of cosmic balance. Phelan, awestruck, flew around her, chirping with pure delight. "You did it, starseer. You restored the heart of the universe." Elara smiled, a serene and knowing smile. "We did it, Phelan. We all played a part." She knew her quest was complete, yet her journey was far from over. The great star, now whole, would forever shine, a beacon of the universe's core principles. And Elara, touched by its light, would become its gentle guardian, a whisper of guidance to those who sought balance and wonder in the cosmos. She would drift through the ether stream, no longer searching, but understanding, her presence a silent blessing to the worlds she passed. As the great star hummed its eternal song, Elara looked out at the universe, no longer seeing it as a distant mystery, but as her home, a place of infinite magic and endless possibility. And so, little one, the universe hummed with renewed magic, all because a brave girl dared to follow a starlit path, armed with nothing but courage and an open heart. She learned that the greatest treasures are not always found in shining jewels, but in the wisdom we gather, the kindness we share, and the wonder we carry within us. And sometimes, if you listen very, very closely, you can still hear the soft, joyful song of the great star, twinkling just for you, reminding you that magic is real, and the universe is always waiting for you to discover its next beautiful secret. Sleep tight, little star seeker. On your way, not enchanting.away. May your dreams be as boundless as the cosmos itself.